and this video was actually requested by one of my Instagram followers. So this is CGM 101 because I recently, I'm now back on my CGM, and I would just like to share that my current blood sugar is 157, and this says I'm 159, and it has the two arrows because I actually had a low, so I'm coming up from that. So, okay, I'm going to start with the pros and cons of what's called the Real-Time Guardian, which is the fancy name for the Medtronic CGM. Okay, so one benefit is that it's like all right there and it's all with me, so I don't have to carry around anything else. The graph is right here and it's just one of my main menus, which is really useful. And then that the actual needle isn't overly big. It's big, but it's not like really big. And obviously, what I really like about it is that you can like set your highs and your lows to however you want them. So mine are set to 100 and 200. I'll put that here. So they're between 100 and 200 so that I can detect a low when I'm about 90. So like when I'm at marching band or whatever, if this goes off saying that I'm 100, I'm either 120 or 90. So either way, probably not as high as 120, maybe like 110. So like that works. So my high is 200, so that when I'm there, I'm either 190 or 210, so I can like differentiate the two of them, and it actually makes it so your blood sugars are in like much better shape. I've been downloading like graphs every day from the pump and the CGM, and my blood sugars are just in so much better control, which I love. I feel like I'm always just out of control with my diabetes. I feel like I'm either really high or really low, and there's like never an in-between, but I'm finding that if I'm going higher, that then if I give my insulin and everything, I'm actually gonna do better off. Like sometimes I'll like wait to check, so like if I get that 200 alert and I check right then and there and I'm only like 190, well, I can fix the problem before I become like 250 and I have to check for ketones. So that's like, it's useful in that sense that like I don't have to worry as much about being super duper high. And then obviously it catches my lows when it needs to, which is also really good because I hate going super duper low where you're just like, what is going on? I would show you guys the actual needle, but it's like back right there, like the top of it, like, so that's the actual CGM piece. There's my site, and yeah, it is kind of like really big, but you know what, the needle itself like doesn't hurt to go in, and I know this is contradicting an actual rant I filmed like a year ago, but I feel like, when you're on the actual thing, it's a lot different than like when you're not wearing it. I'm finding that even though I hated it when I was younger, I love it now because, being in school, do you know how much easier it is to just like pull this out and like sneak a peek at what it's saying, and like where it tells you that you're going, like you're zooming up, like that's really useful. Like I love that about it, and like to me that's great because then I know like if I'm sitting in like engineering or whatever, like I can take a peek and be like, oh, I'm 158 and I've got the 2 arrows, so I'm rising fast, so I might want to double check my blood sugar just to make sure I'm okay. I'm like, that's awesome. Like one of the cons is that it takes a while for the sensor to get used to your body, and like I don't know if it's the same with the Dexcom, but like for me, for example, it took the first day that I wore it, it took like overnight to get my blood sugars correct and like get my body flow correct, but now it's really close to my actual blood sugars, which makes me really happy because like I hate having like blood sugars that are just wicked off. It really annoys me a lot, so that makes me extremely happy just for that obvious reason that, when your blood sugars are more in control, you feel better, you're not as mean. I'm really mean when I'm high, and I love the CGM for that. Like it literally just makes sure everything is taken care of, and it's great. I mean, the one thing that I do like really don't like about it is that in my mystical backpack of mystical fun, I have to carry medical tape to like tape it, which kind of sucks, but I mean, you sort of win some to lose some. So I'm honestly, I love the sensor. It's a great like piece of material if you can afford one. And like, what's really nice about it too is that like I sleep through alarms to know, and so it actually goes off until I wake up, and it'll tell me like if I'm high or low. And like if I'm high, I'm up to pee in the middle of the night, and so it's a lot. Like for me, when I go downstairs to like my bathroom, a lot of the time it's like I don't want to check, this is going to be awful, so I can take a quick glance. And like my thing is, if it says I'm over like 250, then I'm definitely going to check, because that means I'm probably like 260, 270, because there is a 20 to 30% difference. So I check like then, and just to sort of get the idea. So I mean, like that's really useful, like being able to like when you're half asleep look at that and be like, oh, I really don't have to check, which is good. I mean, the one thing that like you should never do is like correct or like treat a blood sugar off of a CGM. That's the technical term, CGM, continuous glucose monitoring system. Never treat or correct based off of that, because it's where it's 20 to 30% off. It's sort of almost, it's not like dangerous, but like it's dangerous because you could actually be a little bit higher than that number. So if if it's saying you're like 50 and you're treating for a 50 and you might only be like 70, yikes. And obviously if you're correcting for like a 250 and you're like 230, like maybe that, like it's probably still really bad. I've never done it, but yikes. And then another thing too is that you have to calibrate it at least twice a day, which actually helps it get more in range with your actual blood sugar, so that hopefully after a little while you can go with only checking your blood sugar like 4 or 5 times a day, which compared to my like 25 million, no, not literally, I think I check 7 or 8 times a day, so bringing it down at least half would be wonderful. So just like my general calibration rules are that 1, you never calibrate when you're high or low, because then that sensor is going to pick up on that high or that low, and it's going to go off constantly. I tend to find that calibrating with like a wake-up blood sugar is really good, because you're just waking up, so your blood sugar is usually like in the hundreds. Even if, like, I dared to once push it when I was like 200, and like that worked really well because it like tracked how high my cereal made me, and then it came back down, but like even that was so annoying because it was still alarming constantly. So like, I don't know, I'd say like under 200 is when you should calibrate, like in between 100 and 200, maybe even 110 because of where my like low blood sugar settings are. But honestly, it's so great. Like the amount of time it saves me, instead of like being like, oh, I think I feel low, let me check my blood sugar. Like, I'm not saying like you should do this, but like, or I mean you can, but like instead of being like, I feel low, let's check my blood sugar, guess what, you can take a quick peek at your sensor, and if you know how your sensor activates to your body, you don't have to check at that exact moment, which, oh, it's wonderful. It makes me so happy. I mean, I've only been wearing it since Saturday, and it's Wednesday, so like I'm halfway through, or a little more than halfway through, like the amount that I can wear it. And also another great thing about the sensor is that you can wear it for 7 days, which is so convenient, because like a pump site you have to change every 3 or 2 to 3, and 7 once a week. So generally the general like rule for sensor site changes or CGM changes, I'm not sure what you want to call it, is that you make sure that you are changing it while you have the time, I guess. Oh god. Sorry, I was just looking at my email. So for me, I would probably change mine at like 10 in the morning. And you have to wait 2 hours for a calibration, so 10 in the morning would then become like a noon calibration, which is generally, if you think about it, a really good time to calibrate, just because, you know, sort of halfway through the day. So either way you go, you can be high or low, or just right, which that's sort of the purpose of the sensors, to make it so that these highs and these lows happen just about like this much, and you're like just right, like this much. So much blood sugaring. lies, because it's not even that much blood sugaring. To be honest, you only have to, after that first initial day, you only have to calibrate your sensor once a day. I calibrate a little bit more just so it's a bit more, tight with my diabetes. But I mean, think of that. Literally, that's wonderful. I can't even explain how happy that makes me. Oh my god, I love the CGM, and I know that exactly like a little under a year ago, I made a video and I was like, I hate it, it hurts. Honestly, if you get used to it, it's fine. Like, it doesn't hurt that much. I can honestly say that. Well, how ironic, Dexcom emailed me. Haha, that's the other sensor. But honestly, like, it doesn't hurt that much. I realized when I was younger, obviously, the idea of that ginormous needle just kind of scared me a little bit, but it really doesn't hurt that much. And like, I'm so happy to say that, because I psych myself out like a lot. I'm sure you guys notice, like, I get so psyched out and I'm like, oh my god, this is gonna hurt so bad. And then my mom did it and I was like, I didn't even feel that. What? And like the transmitter too, like another like general thing is the transmitter needs to charge for at least an hour. So I would say if you're gonna take the sensor off, take it off at 9 a.m. If you're gonna change, like for me, so I take it off at 9, I plug the transmitter in, and the transmitter is the white thing that you saw in my butt, that's the actual transmitter itself. So I would take it out at 9, I'd plug it in until 10, and then I'd put it on, and when you connect it to the actual thing, there's a little green light, which means you're all set, and don't be the idiot like me who got the green light and then just didn't read at all for like 2 hours, and I had to change it again. And like, honestly, if I was younger, I'd probably like, oh my god, I gotta change it again. But you know what, it's really not even that bad. Like, to honestly say like it's not that bad is a really big step for me. And yeah, you are gonna bleed like a little bit, and that's totally okay, because I bleed when my mom puts it in, and it's just, you take a tissue, and you generally bleed like after the needle comes out, so you just take a little tissue and you just hold it there for a couple of seconds, and you usually stop after that. So I mean, it's really not like a problem, and bleeding will not cause any issues. Also, don't be alarmed if you take it out and there's blood inside of it. I actually learned that when the cannula for the sensor hits air, it actually turns red. So it may not be blood in there, it might actually be, it hit air, and that's totally okay. Like, do not freak out, because trust me, I spent weeks doing that when I was younger. Do not freak out, you are okay. So guess what, you and me, we can do this together. We can figure out CGMing and make it great. So to my friend on Instagram, I hope that helped you. I kind of got a little wordy and ranty because I love talking about diabetes things. It's the best. So I will see you guys later. Thank you for subscribing. Please support, and put any comments down below if there is another diabetes thing you would like me to cover. So I'll see you guys later. Bye.